Good afternoon. My name's Paul Church from Clarity Craft here in the UK, and today we're joined by the lovely Tina Cox. So we're very honoured to have Tina in the room with us today. And we were here this morning, weren't we? And we got a little bit carried away this morning at 10 o'clock.
We did.
I think we sort of, it was about an hour and 20 minutes, I think.
It was, and I'm glad I was allowed to stay on. Well, I was allowed to stay on. I'm glad. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it's lovely to have your company. I think we can see from the chat, we've got friends over on our YouTube page and Facebook page. The lovely Gracie is in the room with you. So if you've got any questions, then she's there to help, and I'll get them filtered through if I miss them out. So what we'll do is we'll start off with said hello to everybody. So we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. Maybe this is the first time you've tuned into one of the Clarity TV shows. So on the screen, you will see sort of product information that will change throughout the hour. And Mr. Jim, who sits in the background, he's going to pop one of those up for us now so that I can talk about it. Or has he fallen asleep? Oh, no, there we go. So as you can see on the screen, you've got a product code. You then have a product image, a description of what the product is. Then you've got some prices. So you've got the RRP, which has a red line through it because you're not going to pay the RRP today. You've got how much you're going to save and what your final price is. So during the course of the hour, what we'll do is those will change as Tina works through the various different products. And I'd also give out some codes as well. And all I'm going to do is give you out those five numbers. That's all you need. So if you go to our website, claritycrafts.com, which is at the bottom of the screen, just type those 5 numbers in and it'll bring the product up. Alternatively, you can give us a call and speak to either Sue, Jazz or Pete. And the number for that is also at the bottom of the screen, which is 01732 868 215. Okay. Now, if you belong to any of the Clarity Craft clubs, we've got Groovi, Stamp, Stencil. You'll also get your club discount on top of that. And finally, we also have our loyalty point system as well. So it doesn't matter whatever you purchase, you'll earn loyalty points on that as well. So that's all the boring sort of housekeeping out the way. So should we have a look at what we've got on today's show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So on today's show, we have Tina's, we're calling it a Parchlet Party because Tina's back in the building with us. And what we've done, we've brought, there's 3 different collections. We've got the Christmas collection, we have a mixed shape collection, and then finally we have our circles and squares. Go on, what were you going to say?
Flowers.
Flowers. Tina calls, I call them alliums, and Tina calls them flowers. Okay. So what we've done, we're obviously catering for everybody. So if you buy the complete bundle, basically you're going to get all those 3 there, and your parchment, which is hiding here. I'll bring that in. So you get 20 sheets of parchment as well, because obviously if you're buying that many parchlets, you're definitely going to need your parchment. So you're going to get all those for free. So that's where the £28 saving comes from. Now, depending on your budget, if you just want to go for Christmas, then it's 6 for the price of 5. And the item code for just the Christmas is 41285. There we go. Mr. Jim's changed that for us. If you just want the mixed shape, so you've got a diamond, a heart, a hexagon, oval, rectangle, and star, then the mixed shapes are 41569. And then finally, if you just like your circles and squares, this has got lovely sort of flowers. You've got your alliums or your foo-foos, as Tina calls them. You've got some daisies, you've got wildflowers, you've got morning glory. And the item code for that one is 41568. Now, if you're new to the Groovi system and you're thinking, well, where do I get started? Then we have a fantastic starter kit. And that's where you picked up, Tina, isn't it? And you always go back to it. You're using it all the time.
Yes, because everything in there, it sits on my table, basically, because everything is usable and, like the plate mate, the tool, the embossing mat, everything in there. You've got nested squares, right?
Nested squares, yeah. If
which
we can have a look at
and things,
we'll bring
which
a
is
pack
great.
shot up of the starter kit so we can talk through that then.
Yeah, so for
Yeah,
me.
there we go.
Mhm.
So you've got your plate mate, which has got that alphabet on there,
Yeah.
uppercase and lowercase, and you can see there's a slight hole in the middle, and that's where the plates underneath fit into. You've got your A4 black mat, which is hard on one side and soft on the other, which Tina was using during the course of the 10 o'clock show. Then you get 16 of your Groovi tabs. You get your 2 double-ended tools, which are numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, which Tina explained throughout the hour. You get your tumble dry sheet to wipe your parchment. Then you've got 20 sheets of A5 parchment.
Yep.
A fantastic double-sided concertina project sheet created by Tina using the plates that were in this collection. And then underneath that, you've then got what we call an adapter plate. And so if you've gone for any of the parchlets, they fit within there. It's like a whole modular system. We've got the lovely nested squares, perfect for framing. And then a new addition for 2024 is Barb's Loving Heart, another alphabet, more frames on there as well. Our best-selling plate ever is the butterfly wreath. That's now included as standard. And then it wouldn't be clarity if it didn't have hills and mountains in there. So you've got the hills and mountains, the suns, the moons, the lakes, lovely. And then as a bonus, we've carried it over from our birthday event. You also get a free thanks Groovi plate. So if we come back to the screen, Jim will put the details up on the, oh, there we go, look at that. £31 saving.
Nice.
And that £31 saving is £1 for every year Clarity has been established. We've just celebrated 31 years.
It's amazing. It's just so good.
So if you're interested in the starter kit, then the item code for that is 42144. So Tina, parchlets,
Yes.
where did it all start? What was the idea behind the parchlets?
Well, originally, it was like crazy chaos, and as much as we all want to spend loads of time doing parchment. There are days where we don't have the time to do it. So I wanted to design something that I can do very quickly, and they can be standalone plates, but at the same time to be able to use those plates, to make larger projects as well. And I was making a lot of little parchlets, the 2 by 2 inch that we decided to call parchlets then. I think the term was twinches or something, but because we were doing parchment, we call them parchlets. So yes, we went ahead, designed a few of these, and then they did really well because people liked the idea of small contained, but you can then go bigger. Great place if you're a beginner to start because you've got everything there to get started. You use one of the designs, you can either color it, not color it, and you can put it on pretty backing paper, designer paper, and it's done. They're small enough designs, mix and match to make bigger ones. Sometimes I find it very difficult if I've got big picture to make it smaller. With this, you can go as big as you want, really.
Restricted by the size of the parchment. So what we're going to do, Tina, if we go through each of the 3 different collections on the overhead. So I'm going to give you the plates traced out completely. And then what we can do, I'll bring in some artwork when we've gone through. So this is the Christmas Parchlet collection. And I'll hand over to you to talk about them.
Yes, so this one is the angel, and you'll see with each of them through all the sets, they will be similar, as in not the designs, but they will have corners. They will have a main frame around us, and what will change is the inside main focal. Some have borders as well around it, which you will see. So these are the Christmas ones, and so this one is the candle. You've got a pretty wreath that goes around it. You've got a different corner there. And then you've got a border here. So although the border is contained within the square, one of the things I'll show you is how to make that border go out.
Right.
That border around.
Isn't necessarily Christmas, is it? It's like a
no, it's not.
With little stars.
Exactly. So it's very nice to mix and match things. Again, another one here. This one is snowflakes, and then a bit more delicate. So some of them, like you'll see, depending on your project. So if we look at this one is a heavier corner.
Yeah.
This is a much more delicate corner, which we find that, depending on where we're putting our frames and things, sometimes we want something really thin to go between the frames. Other times we've got a lot more space. We might want a bit more.
So that was the, so this is the snowflake one.
And then the snowman, we used this snowman earlier. We've got bells there with a nice, really delicate snowflakes corner there. Again, that in itself is a frame, but if you cut there and there, you've got just a corner. Have I gone through two?
Yeah, that's it.
And then, oh no, one more. Stockings, again, a little border there, and then Christmas trees with some more corners are along there. So lots of elements to mix and match. And, if you make a lot of cards during Christmas, for example, you're not going to get bored. You have got so many elements there.
So this is a piece of artwork from Sheila Gray. And this really sort of, compliments, there you go, we beat me to it. So that lovely sort of postage stamp frame in the center has been used, and then it's the little icons from 4 of the different plates to create those.
And it's just so pretty. I love that idea.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Just gorgeous.
And then this one is from Glynis. So now we've gone small. So this is taking the plate exactly how it comes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
So no, I think it's mixed and matched a little bit. So there's the tree. Oh no, I think it.
It's a different frame, isn't it?
So the corners are different, and this is from a different plate as well, the scallops.
There we go.
So there we go. So
the trees are in the middle.
Sorry.
And then
trees.
You've got this frame here.
And that for the corners, and then that there.
Nice. So they really are so versatile. And then the next piece of artwork comes in from Sheila Gray.
The snowflake, and again mixed and matched to make it bigger. So although the parchlets are this small, she was able to extend it a bit more, which is so beautiful.
Next one,
all sparkly.
This one's from Karen Jackson.
All sparkly. It's very pretty.
Lovely, isn't it?
I love the silver with the ice blue.
It's nice, isn't it? And then this one is from Ronk, and now Ronk has used some embroidery on that. And you're also known, Tina, for your lovely embroidery designs. And earlier on, I asked Tina the question if she would come back to us very soon, and we'll do another Clarity TV live show with Tina's embroidery parchlets. It's a lovely mix, taking parchment with embroidery techniques.
It just looks really pretty, as we can see sort of, in here where she's done embroidery. I just love embroidery, and I think, with the added bonus of doing it on parchment, for example, you can add the embossing to it, you can add lace work, you can do the perforating. I think it adds a completely different dimension to just normal. Is any embroidery normal? But you know what I mean.
I know. And then the final one, this one is from the lovely Tina herself. So lovely sort of, this one's built up in layers.
It is, and it's so this layer is all on one piece, the top layer. That one, yes, is on colored parchment, but on this one I tried to create a layered look between the blue there, the yellow there, and then this little bit. And when we put in perforating in there, it looks like it's 2 pieces of parchment, where it's just the one there. It's just because of the perforations, it makes it give it the look that it might be
layered.
On different papers. Oopsie daisy. Come back.
So this is now the mixed shape collection. So a different theme.
So this one has got floral corners and floral designs. We've got the diamond.
And you used that diamond during the 10 o'clock show with
the
snowman, didn't you?
Yes, so we used this and then put the snowman in there. So once again, they're interchangeable. Your center elements and things between through the whole range. Heart.
Whoops, I got a little bit fuzzy. Let me just bring my hand in. Hang on.
move
Let me
too
just-
fast or
I think it might.
something.
What we're gonna do?
Am I moving too
is-
fast?
Let's try again. Let's give it a chance to see if it's refocused for us. No. Right. What we're gonna do? If I get you to hold up to that camera over there, so get
That
ready to come in.
one there.
Let's see if I can. If I bring that
Oh,
in.
that way.
Now, if you hold that one there for a minute,
Okay.
and then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to have a look at the overhead, and without getting an electric shock, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, see if that's
Yeah.
made a difference.
So
There
this
we go.
one is the heart. Again, you know, for Christmas, you could. Oh, I don't know which way I'm
Right,
going.
if
This is
let's try
fun.
the overhead again now. Let's
Okay,
have a
shall I
look.
move this?
There we go.
Was I going
Lovely.
too fast?
I
Is
don't
that
know. I
what?
think it's just
Okay.
the warm weather.
Oh yeah, I love blaming everything on the weather. That sounds good. I can live with that.
There we go.
So the heart, again, you could use it for Christmas if you so wish by putting, you know, something Christmas in there. But I absolutely love this. I think by the time, you know, you work this corner, it looks really pretty. It's a really nice one. For me, it says parchment with this little circle,
The
diddly
little
doos on
dotties.
the side.
Diddly doos.
Diddly doos. Hexagon, again, more corners, a different frame.
A little bit more open in the frame on this one,
Yes.
isn't it?
And you know, the other thing is that these one, with some of the elements, you've got bigger side or bigger corners. With this one, it's small enough to, you know, there's always some way you want to put something, but everything is too big.
Yes.
So I've tried to design things where the elements are of different sizes.
So you've got like little fillers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a hexagon.
So a hexagon, oval.
I love this one. I love this flourish. That just on its own.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And
And then
rectangle.
And we nearly forgot the next one, the final one. This is the
star.
star. This is
So
lovely,
again,
isn't it?
star you could use, to be honest, any of the frames within these frames you could use for your Christmas.
So this is a piece
How
of artwork.
Beautiful is embossed.
From
This
Maggie
is
Byford.
just embossed so beautiful. You want to feel it.
I know, it's got
just
that real sort of three dimension.
absolutely gorgeous.
Then this is a no-named person. Often
No
we
name.
put
No.
artwork on our display boards when we have our
Yeah.
events. Like we've got our parchment retreat on Monday and Tuesday, and also our open days at Christmas. So we often display the art. Well, not often. We do display the artwork, and sometimes we have to take the back off so that it sits on the boards. And then this one is from Glynis. I love this
That's
star.
just so beautiful. This star is absolutely gorgeous.
I can just see this a newborn baby.
It's just, oh, yeah.
And then we have another one from
so
Glynis
beautiful.
coming in. There we go.
Again, you know, the three different shapes within, you know, a square. So a bit of lace. It's just
Lovely,
so
isn't it?
beautiful.
And then the final collection are your circles and squares. What do you call this
So
flower?
this is the fufu flower. Fufu,
Okay.
because
you need to explain what the fuf.
you go into the garden, you pick up the fufu flower and you go fufu. So it's a fufu flower. I will never remember flower names, so it's the fufu flower.
Flower.
Now, every time everyone sees this, they have to call it the fufu flower.
Fufu flower. There we go.
So, yeah, now we have circles.
Yeah.
And, you know, this one here, it's about just half of this one, but more in a curved way to help you put around curves.
Yeah.
Which again, I think is important for me, because if I'm doing circles, I always struggle with, you know, things that will go around a circle to make it look round. And as a matter of fact, we're going to use this afternoon to create a wreath, because for me it's a quirky snowflake as well. So
okay. Well,
and I'm going with that idea. Another flower circle and a full wreath
yeah,
in there
on the inside, but again, individual elements if you want them to be
again small enough to put around
as
circles and ovals and things. Yes.
Yeah.
Again,
daisy
and
lovely.
smaller elements, corners,
it's
squares.
It's this leafy style. It's lovely, and because you've done all the work for us to repeat it all the way around the square.
Yeah, and you know, this one is really nice for, even if you don't put the flowers. So I mean, I think we struggle with cards for guys. For
Yeah.
example, you could use the leaf. If you didn't want to put flowers, you can always replace it with circles or stars or something. Stars are great.
Yeah.
And just not emboss those, put stars.
And we've got 2 more in the collection. So I remember this one. This one is called the Morning Glory. I love that flower in the centerpiece. And then the final one in the collection is the Wildflowers. So you've got like little sort of bouquets. So, who's this one? This one is from the lovely Jane Telford.
I just love the black and gold on this as well.
This one here is a no name. Apologies if you created it and I didn't give you a name check.
So beautiful.
Then we have another no name, little bumblebees.
Little bumblebees. Too cute.
Then one from Sheila Gray.
Fufu flowers. Yes. Fufu.
And I've only just noticed on there little hearts.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, so you've got the circles and the hearts.
The hearts. That's lovely. This again,
that's
apologies.
Amazing, amazing. The cut work on this is just wow.
And then the final piece in this one is from Josie Davidson, Queen of Grids, with those love. This again.
That's just, it's just so beautiful. And the grid with that, just so you can have it small, but if you've got time, you can make it bigger. But the grid work, I mean, wow.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? It can do. So they're the 3 different collections that we're bringing to you. Now, if you like Tina's designs, there's a new sort of promotion that we run every week. I launch it on Groovi Tuesday. So I do a Facebook Live every Tuesday at 10 a.m, which you can go back and watch on our YouTube pages. And what we do is we launch a specific product and we call it Triple Point Tuesday. It runs from Tuesday until Tuesday. Okay. It's a very special price. And what it means is that you'll get triple points on that product. Okay. Now, if anything else happens to jump into your basket at that same time, then your whole basket will get triple points. Okay. And to celebrate Tina being back in the building with us, I couldn't resist but bring you, whoops, it says, I'm doing it now. Whoops, I'm taking it from Tina. So it's a set, we'll have a look on the overhead. It's a set of 6 A6 stamp sets. Okay. And so these are normally £9.99 each, so £60. And the special price is £34.94. So you're saving £25. And we'll let Tina show the artwork. So what you'll notice is that these are taken from Tina's Christmas parchlets. Okay. And the super saver price is £34.94. So you're saving £25.
Wow.
Plus, if you're in the Clarity Craft Club, you're going to get your 10, 12.5 or 15% discount. And in addition to that, you're going to get triple points as well.
It's crazy.
Win-win.
So here is the snowflake one, taken like different elements into the stamps,
so like
which is
just
been
deconstructed, the snowflake, that lovely border you were talking about.
And the snowflake, is the different
sizes,
which is just like very clever.
So this is your snowflake one. Then the candle, and you can really sort of see that garland now with the stars.
And all the corners, and again, I think on all of them they're in a couple of sizes, right?
You can do lovely decoupage on there as well.
Yeah.
And then this one is the stockings. Beautiful.
Trees.
And that lovely frame, just saying, look, holly jolly, joy to the world. So that's free so far. So you're going to get all of these. The snow, your favorite, the snowman.
The snowman. Yeah, I just love that. The bells look amazing. It's really strange. Sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted. When I see it in black and white, and then I see it in white line art, it looks very different. And I'm like, oh, Is that the same design? But it does. This
It
is just so fine. The line art is so
and that's one of the great
fine.
things about the quality of clarity stamps is that fine line
Yeah,
detail
it's
that we
so
can pick it
fine.
up so beautifully.
And then the
And
angels.
then the angels. There we go. So if you love Tina's designs, like I know many of our friends at home do, then maybe you sort of do Groovi and you do stamp as well. Definitely worth taking advantage of those. If maybe it's the first time you've seen them, they are available individually, but the bonus is if you go for that Triple Point Tuesday promotion, then you're saving £25, which is the equivalent of getting 2.5 of those stamp sets for free. Plus, you get your Clarity Craft discount. Okay, and all orders over £35 within the UK is free shipping as well. So there you go.
Well, I already said earlier, I know what I'm doing this evening.
Right, so I'm going to be quietish now.
No, please don't.
And I'm going to hand it over to Tina, and Tina's going to share with us what she's going to show us during the course of this hour.
Okay, so this is what we're doing this afternoon. We're going to do some picot cutting and just playing with some of the elements once again from the various plates. Just this morning, if I just show that quickly, this is what we did. We did a bit of coloring, and depending on how you do your mounting and layering, you can make the design smaller. Or you can make it bigger by adding a few more layers, for example, over here. So that's up to you. So for this afternoon one, I've once again made it slightly bigger. I quite like the different layers to pick up a couple of colors from the card itself. So
well, you love the layering, don't you? And last year when we did the retreats, we had those lovely layering plates that you came up with, and the flowers, and to give the illusion of layering, but it was with one piece of parchment. And so with this, it's still the one piece of parchment, but it's the companion papers and the white cardstock that builds up that layer to sort of, I wouldn't say it enhances it, it just adds that extra element to it, doesn't it?
Yes. And I think for me personally, even if I work on one piece of parchment, for example, I will try and add a few different colors, like for example on here where I've added a bit more color. It doesn't necessarily give it another layered look because of the way I've done it, but this was done. So for example, let me just bring this one in on this one, I made it quite solid in there with the pergoline and colored it in. With this one, I faded it out towards the inside to make it look, you know, when we're stamping and we give our outside a distressed look. So I wanted that sort of an effect because I wanted this bit
to be more prominent.
And that way when I picot cut the windows, you can see the layer underneath, which means this stands out even more. So this is what we're going to do. I've forgotten what I was going to say. Go ahead and talk, Paul, please.
So that's the piece we're going to work on. And when you look at what Tina created, the angel, that angel could be the snow man, it could be the Christmas tree, it could be some of the stockings. You have that versatility. Maybe you've gone for one of the sort of more generic ones, the mixed shapes. Then you could take that circle and replace it as well. So I think Tina's worked out what it is she wants to show us now. So I'm going to hand it back over to Tina.
You sure you want me to come back next month?
Absolutely.
Or whenever? You sure?
So you're using Barbara's Shack Christmas A6 plate mate that we launched earlier in the year. And you had a little bit of a play.
I haven't seen it. So of course I couldn't resist. And yeah, I had lots of fun with it. But I'm not going to show that at the moment.
No. We're going to start.
I'm going to show you the plate yet.
So this plate in the middle pops out because it's a plate mate.
So this will come out and we can see it's that size. So when we oh no, have I done it again? Is it?
Let me. There we go. Magic hands brought it back. No. There we go. Right. Okay. Carry on talking.
I'm kind of scared moving anything now.
I think it's because it might be warm in here. So as you say, The baby
Yes,
plates.
so the baby plates move.
Yeah.
So what you get with this is a spacer plate that will make it sit nice and snug in
That's
there.
right. And the spacer plate, if I'm just going to flip this over, Tina,
Yeah.
just so we can see, is a lovely little spacer plate, which is perfect because it says Merry Christmas, and you've got this lovely flourish that will also work perfectly with any of the parchlets.
I just love that.
So
it's so lovely. Okay, so we're going to start, and first of all, what we need to do is we're going to put a frame. So for this one, I am going to use this fufu flower plate.
Yeah.
To have my outside square and the circle. So I'm going to, if you're just new and just starting off, you want to be able to read Groovi the right way up.
Yeah.
So you know you're on the right side of the plate. I'm going to put the parchment down. Now my parchment is a lot bigger than the design I'm doing. So I'm just going to stick it down and then rub the tumble dryer sheet over it.
Okay.
But if your parchment was smaller, then rub it with the tumble dryer sheet first, so you don't get bits of the tumble dryer sheet. Oh, probably shouldn't do that.
No. Fine.
So it doesn't get all over your plate mate, or doesn't catch so much on your, if you pico cut.
I've just seen a question pop up. Let's see if this works. There we go. So this is from Sue. Sue King. She says, do you use the fine or the bold 2-needle tool to pierce the aperture holes for cutting?
I have used the bold 2-needle tool.
Okay. So the difference between the bold and the fine, it will be the it's not the pitch, is it, between the picot?
No.
It's the closeness.
The closeness, yes.
Yeah.
If they're closer together, your picots will be finer, more together sort of thing.
So so for example, so if you use the bold, for example, just as an example, if you use the bold, and you would get, say, 4 picots to that space. But if you was using the fine, you may get 8 to that same space.
You will the fine, no, the holes are smaller as well.
So
the holes are smaller as well. So it's not only the I think the distance is about the same, but the holes are smaller, making the picots look a bit more delicate. I think if you're just beginning, then it's worth starting with the bold one, because you can see the holes a lot bigger and everything. I do as well. I quite like those bigger picots. So
you're going to show us some picot cutting in a little while. So there we go.
So I rubbed the parchment with the tumble dryer sheet, because what it will do is it will make the tool glide more smoothly. I'm using the number 1 tool. So in the starter kit, you get number 1, number 2, and 3 and 4. So they go in size order. They are numbered because I want crisp white outlines. I'm using the number 1 tool.
I mean, look at how perfectly crisp and sharp that is.
And it will be close to impossible for me now to get this, like using ink and pen and going over it again.
Okay,
like
so
we used to.
For you then, Tina.
Yeah.
If you was doing this frame in a traditional method, where you'd have to pen and ink it and then emboss it, how long would you say that would have taken you?
Well, I would still be tracing, being very careful not to go crooked.
And would you just do a single line or a double line?
Oh no, there is no way I would do double, because then if I don't get even spacing between, like in this, it's even all the way around. But if I was to trace it and then go over it with my embossing tool, and if it slips even a bit, you're going to break that double spacing.
So you're
and I would still be tracing.
Followed by the end of the hour. So you're using the Groovi guard. So sort of one hold your working part. I mean, the work's being held in place by your Groovi tabs, but it gives you something to lean on as well, especially when you're working with a design in parchment. So the item code for the Groovi guard is 40345. And you can never have too many groovy guards, can you, Tina?
No, you cannot.
Because you always
I
lose
have got
them.
about 5.
Because they just get lost, don't they? They disappear on your desk. And
Well, yes and no, but for me, I use them for a lot of other things as well.
not just your parchment.
Yes, so I like to then keep, I like to then keep, if I'm doing, I don't know, for example,
Drawing
paper
or-
cutting.
Yeah.
Then I want to keep that one with my paper cutting things. And yes, for parchment, I do have 2 because they get in between things, and then it is very much.
Barb in the shack, I know often when you're doodling in the shack with Barb, you can lean on the groovy guard and it just stops the ink transfer and stuff like that.
So you will notice that in all the plates right throughout the range, you have got either double outlines or a single outline.
Right.
One of those outlines or both will fit right throughout the whole set. So when I've changed my plate. Now I'm using the angel plate. So when I come back to this is just going to sit nicely in there, which means I'm going to have my angel right in the middle where I want it without having to worry too much. Is it in the middle or not?
So considering that the designs were created over a period of time, they've still got that connectivity, haven't they? So that they make it easier, exactly like what you're doing here now. You're taking one, so you took one from the circles and squares
Oopsie daisy.
to create your framework.
And
now you're going back to the Christmas collection.
So what I'm doing now is I'm still with the number 1 tool.
Yeah.
And just doing the angel, the berries. I'm going to color these in. If I was going to emboss them, I would use the number 2 tool, as I'm going to for the wings in just a minute. Now, I'm going over a couple of times because the first time I'm putting less pressure, and then the second time I like to put a bit more.
Yeah.
Angel wing, like I said, I'm going to do with the number 2 tool because I want it to be a soft outline. When I come to emboss that, it will make it easier for me without getting a harsh line.
See, at this point in time while you're doing that, there's a slight variation in the brightness of that line, but not much. I know when you turn it over, it will really stand out because we're on the plate, which has that white line on it anyway.
And I'm just putting part of the border, so you can see the circle ends there, so I don't need all this extra diddly-doos there. I'm just keeping it contained, and I think I moved because I was playing. I'm still thinking about what more I can add to my playing session this morning. I need to focus. Tina, focus. So let me turn that round and show that to you. So there you go.
You can definitely see.
And you can see how that is crisp and white, but this, we wanted it a softer shade.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. Yeah.
Super. Right, before we continue on, okay, we're going to give Tina a little bit of a break. I'm not going to have a recap, but I've got some other news to share with you.
Yes.
Okay, so tomorrow at 12 o'clock, I'm going to do a Facebook and YouTube live at 12 o'clock, and I'm going to call it Midday Madness. I kept calling it Midnight Madness earlier. I mean, it would be madness at midnight. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring you some products tomorrow at midday at a super duper price. Okay. And I'm going to show you what it is that you can create with these products. So if I bring these in on the overhead, so I'm just going to bring these in on the overhead, Tina, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. I am just like seeing what, I don't want to mess up. And I'm like, and I wasn't paying attention to overhead.
Right, so let's have a look. I'm going to zoom out. So these are our lovely crackers. I mean, some say that both Tina and I are a little bit crackers, and don't be right in that.
Nah.
So tomorrow I'm going to bring you the plate that will show you how to create these lovely crackers. Do you want to, could you push them to one side? There we go. So this is the plate. Okay. So this is part of the Midday Madness tomorrow. Then I'm going to show you how we can create these lovely boxes. Okay, so cube boxes, great for little gift. And these are all made out of parchment. Okay, and that's just been created using this plate. Okay, so this is our cube box. The previous one was the Christmas cracker. And then finally, I'm going to show you, I may have to do this one differently. I'm going to put them on here, and I'm going to bring this in on camera 1, maybe camera 3 actually. Right, where we go. Let's put that down there. No, that's it. Let me bring them on. Let's do it this way. So you're going to be able to make 3-dimensional Christmas trees, and you call them crackers again. Okay, and these will come from this plate. Okay, now the clarity. Oops, we caught on Tina's jumper.
Hold on.
Okay, so these are going to come to you tomorrow as part of the Midday Madness. Okay, on Facebook and YouTube. It's going to be at midday, obviously. Make sure you sign up to our newsletters on the website, and you'll be kept informed of anything that we're doing. So that's a little sneaky peek of that. Oh, I nearly fell off the chair then, Tina.
Oh no, please don't do that.
Okay, so we've got those. You want to load those up onto there, and then I'll
painful. Oh,
you put them on there, and then I'll use that as a little tray to move them out of the way. So that's at 12 o'clock. Now the clarity of elves, I suppose elves are quite apt.
Yeah.
May have already dropped that price. Okay, just saying. Okay, I'm just saying, but I'm not saying. Okay, so that's one sort of sneaky. Oh, it disappeared then. That's one sneaky peek of what is coming up tomorrow. Okay, then next Tuesday, I'm at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I'm going to do a brand new product launch. Okay, so if you like 3D like construction with parchment, then these, if I show you, right. Okay, if I show you, look, let's have a look on the overhead. Okay, let's get these focused. You can make these lovely gift boxes. So these have been created by Jill Askham. Okay, like so. Look at that. So you've got a little housey box. Turn it round. Happy new home. Okay. But look, Tina, look what's in these ones. There's one for you.
Just one.
And there's one for me.
I'm not greedy or anything.
And there's one for me. Okay.
All right, share.
Right. So you've got this. Okay, the lovely little, well, big gift bags. But then from the same plate, you can also make
how dainty is that?
And believe it or not, that's all been done.
I love that.
And they're lovely.
It's got a little tag.
I know. So that has been created using this plate. Okay. So now you can keep the chocolate, Tina.
That's okay. The gift bag looks empty without it now.
So we've got that bag, and that bag makes the 2 different sizes. This plate makes the 2 different sizes. Then we have I'm going to show the plates first. Then we've got this one. Okay. And I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And then we've got the final one here. Okay, so this is going to be a set of 3 A4 plates, okay, which I'm going to launch next Wednesday, because we've got the parchment retreat Monday and Tuesday. So next Wednesday at 10 a.m. But I'll show them again tomorrow during the Midday Madness. And that one there makes
this is so amazing.
This lovely little box. Whee! Okay.
There is so much on these plates. I mean, on the insides of each of them, there's
put so much
something different in them. So, you can use them with all your other plates to fill in spaces and things.
And then the other one creates this shape box.
So
it's
nice.
Like a square pillow box, isn't it? So I'm so excited to be working with these next week. I've got
They
to
are
contain
so
myself.
good.
So you've got the 3 A4 plates, which will launch next week at Super. And if you're coming to our parchment retreat on Monday and Tuesday, these will be available for you to get then. Okay, so you get sort of like a little heads up on it on Monday and Tuesday at the annual parchment retreat. But join me tomorrow at midday for the midday madness. I'm going to show you how to construct the cube, how to construct the cracker, and how to construct the Christmas tree. Okay, so now I just wanted to give that a little shout out. I'm going to pass back over to Tina. So where are we up to now, Tina?
Okay, so we've got our frame, we've got our angel. Just quickly, if I show how we created this wreath around here. So this wreath, I have used a couple of plates. Like I said, for me, if I look at this, it can be a quirky part of a snowflake.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with that. And that's what I've done here. And then in between, I've used one of the other Christmas parchlet to use to make the snowflake. So, and earlier I mentioned that when we're like, mixing and matching, look out for those markers. So for example, on this one, because I'm using this, the inside of this bit here, first you need to decide how much bigger do you want your wreath, for example.
Right.
So I could do it there, in which case the wreath will be quite a bit bigger. But I wanted to leave enough space to put something in the corner. So I went further up. So if I decide to do it here, for example, I need to remember that this center bit is on the inside, just
so you're
in there.
creating your sort of like registration areas, aren't
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, because I've got this bit here, it's in the middle. So the top of that circle will be hitting the top of that circle.
Right.
I'm glad you know which circle is hitting which circle. The inside circle, this inside bit of the circle on that circle. So once again, I'm just going to do it with one this time rather than going back and forth. If I was at home, I would do it back and forth, but I want to get to the next bit.
I know.
And once again, because I was going to emboss these, I did them with the number 2 tool. So I'm just going over with the number 2 tool.
And that's that lovely little heart that I didn't really notice before until it was colored in red.
So you could, do the circles in number 2 and the hearts in number 1 if you wanted to color them. I'm going to take that off.
So this is back on the original circles and squares. That's where that lovely little
I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do the 4 corners. So I'll show you very quickly this one again. So my marker is that center bit sitting just inside there.
Yeah.
I'm going to rotate it a little bit so the spacing between there is about approximately the same as that. Whoopsie daisy. There we go. There we go. And then I'll show the one in between.
Okay.
So let's start with the number 2 tool and do these first. And you can see how quick this is. I mean, if I was doing this traditionally, I would still be tracing, to be honest.
Still be on that square frame at the beginning.
I know. And here I am, like just whizzing through. But I mean, jokes aside, with the Groovi plates, the crisp white outlines you get, the evenness, I never ever got with tracing and then going with the stylus and things.
And would you often, if you was like Christmas cards, for example, would you make the same card twice, like for somebody? Or would it just be like a one-off?
Definitely one-off for the amount of time it takes, and it's just, I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's just very time consuming, you know, for the amount we could do, say, in a day. Using the traditional way of tracing and that, we could do so much more with the Groovi plate. So now very quickly, I'm not going to trace this out, but so now we have the space here.
Yeah.
And we're going to use this from the snowflake.
So
and we're just going to emboss out the part of the snowflake. Again, markers. It has a center point there.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure it goes on the inside. And I'm just going to rotate it a little bit and make sure it's sort of-ish in the middle-ish, kind of. So there's even spacing. So circle's gone inside. Even spacing between these two handles and these two.
Yeah.
And then I'm ready to go.
Brilliant.
So that's going to be your fill-in. So when we get to it, we end up with the wreath here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lovely. See, just traced out on clear parchment, the white line art. For me, that was what the art of parchment craft was when I saw it many, many years ago. When you look at something like this and you think, how can I achieve that? I, like you, Tina, I tried it traditionally with the Pergamano starter kit. I mean, we own Pergamano now. For me, the Groovi plates just replace that one element of
yes, it is
craft.
just the
That's
tracing, and you know, everything else is traditional techniques. You know, and you have that option. It's so easy with the plates to mix and match. We have just created a completely new wreath that was not fully there,
described,
you know. So you're going to look at your elements and decide which elements you like, how can you can mix and match them, and go with. I'll talk through the corner bit, the corners, because those are on different plates. So that.
Go back to Christmas again.
So again, Christmas, and it is this corner here that I have embossed in the four corners.
See, I think this is why, because these have all been designed by Tina, I think if budget allows, this is why I think you wouldn't feel out of place having that whole collection, would you?
No.
Because you've used the circle ones, you've used the Christmas ones, all to create this lovely piece of artwork. So if you went for the complete collection, if budget allowed, I mean, with that saving of £28, £28 on that, then imagine all the different compositions that you could come up with.
I know, it's amazing. And also because each one has different frames on them, and not each one, the first collection had circles and squares, but within them there is just so much. I don't think it's a set I'm bored with yet, because there is just so much in them, and you can create like a silly amount of stuff with it.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're going away on holiday, if that's the only collection to take with you, you're not going to get bored.
Holiday.
Well, a few years. Some of them have been a few years in the design, and I'm still like, I could do that, and I could do that, and I could do this. So just so the four corners, and then we go back to the snowflake, and you can see this design here.
Oh, yes.
And that is what I used to fill in there. In the space that was left, I've used just part of this.
Yeah.
You could use anything else from any of the plates. I just went with that.
With that one.
Now, when we look at this plate, we see this. It's within the border.
Yeah.
But I wanted, so for example, this frame here is a lot smaller than the frame we have on the outside. If I put that on there, can you see the frame that this scallop is sitting on is a lot smaller. I need to drop my square lower to make this come outside.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's going to cut into our design.
Right.
And with the Groovi plates, we have the advantage. Once we've done that border, we can just, for example, slot it in, and we stick it down. Now, when we do, that doesn't help. It's the wrong square. Someone took my
I thought
scallops.
you was testing, Tina, to see if everyone at home. I mean, we've got
Is still awake.
we've got 176 friends in the room with us this afternoon.
There you go. So we start.
There we go.
And then because we don't know how much, if I start there and go all the way,
it may not come up at the right corner. So is
So-
it best to start from do a corner bit and then do the other corner and then meet in the middle?
Yes, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to say I started with the 7, and then as I was working it out, I did 10 circles.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then that was with the number 2. I flipped it over, number 1, and then all the scallops in between.
Right.
So you will see there is a bit of space there between one corner there and there. You can leave it, or I will show you if you want to fill it, what we do.
Okay.
Am I out of time yet?
No. I mean, believe it or not, it is 5 to 3 already.
No.
I know. I hijacked some of your.
Can I leave
time.
that then?
Can
1,
you?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not going to do this. Mind you, it doesn't take long. No, I'm not going to do it.
Carry on. No,
shall I?
carry on. Yeah, I'm fine to carry on
There
if
is a
you
lot
are.
I want to show. So scallops.
Because one of the great things about it, because we're broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook, that if people do have to disappear after an hour, or they come in sort of halfway through, then they can go back and watch on our YouTube page anytime. And it's all free to go back and watch. There's no charge. And so you can stop and start, and
Absolutely.
you can turn the volume up, you can turn the volume down.
So we can see we've got that space in the middle.
Yes.
So you have options. You can leave them.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you wanted to use the same scallop to, because you want to fill it.
Yeah.
You, at this point, remove the parchment. And no matter how wide it is, when you get to a small enough space, for example, you remove it, you align it, and you just shuffle it a little bit, for example.
Oh, yes.
And it is a minute amount, this one. So I would do 1 circle and 2 scallops.
Yes.
And because you're going to do that on all the 4 sides, it's not going to matter.
That's the pattern.
It is not going to matter. Exactly. Or you have the option of filling that, for example, on this, on the plate mate itself, you have got elements. I could put a snowflake there.
Now, Tina was having a play with the plate mate earlier, wasn't you, Tina?
I was.
And it was like you could hear a pin drop. We left Tina.
Who needs lunch?
We didn't lock her in the studio. What we Tina had to clear up the mess that she created, and then you had some chocolate and you had some drinks and stuff like that. And then she went, "I want to play. Just go away and leave me out. I want to play."
I want to play.
So we left Tina in the studio, and then sort of however many hours come back. Didn't even forgot that she was here actually. She was quiet as a mouse. And then look, let me show you what just with a few hours of playing. Look at that.
So I was able to do all the line art for that, and I love that. I love that. All it needs is cutting. Yes, if I was at home, I would have pico cut my square and everything to begin with. But over here, I'm quite happy to, when I get home, to cut that. But so I put the frame from one of the parchlets.
Yeah.
And then what I thought is, okay, well, I love these. So I chose one of the squares. So I chose this one. Yes, this has got candles, but I decided to use the candle from the parchment. I embossed that.
Yeah.
But when I do this, now the plate mate comes with this plate.
Oh, yes. Those lovely sentiments.
So the sentiments. So what I did first is can I just actually take that? I'm getting all fiddly and everything. I only did 3 sides.
Right.
And left this side alone. So I could then put the words in first.
Of course.
Yes. Because I wasn't sure how far this was going to be. So I just did 3 sides.
Yeah.
And then I put the words in. And then put it back on the plate to do the fourth.
To continue the frame around it.
Yeah, and then after that, I just played. So this one is from one of the ones we used just now, if I can find the angel one. So let's turn this. That one is this bit here.
Oh, so the one element from around the angel
to put at the top
put
and
the
at the
top.
bottom. This is from the candles that we used the corner from just now.
Wow.
This one is the scallops I
that you
just showed.
Yeah.
This is all. I could have used the scallops. This is all on here.
On the plate.
On
I know,
the
it's mad,
plate
isn't
mate.
it? I think
And
lovely
it's
jazz,
just
I think,
so quick to do.
sort of design elements from Barbara and created, like, you've got all these different frames here. And
so it was this corner, the stars. So I
Yeah.
did 5 on either side, as I said about the scallops earlier.
Yeah.
I did 5, and then I knew I just had to use this. I just love that. So then I put, oops, sorry, the snowflake. So then I put the snowflake in there.
Yeah.
These, it needed something dangling. You know
Yeah.
how we put
You
decorations.
do like your dangles,
So
don't
that
you,
was,
Tina?
there you go. That was that there, in there. So it was just playing with it. And then this one, once again, you know, I used the star from one of the, from the parchlet mix shapes. And then I put the snowman in there, who looks like he's about to roll off. You know, he's a bit crooked, but that's okay. Yeah. But then within there, I was able to put some of the dots from this, just to give him. So by the time you color that, those dots will really stand out.
I didn't even notice that.
Again, same here. I used it between there, and there was a space I used from the plate mate, the stars.
Right.
And you can just play, but
Goodness
it's just
me.
playing. But look out for those markers. Once you get used to keeping an eye out for those markers, you can create anything really and mix and match. So
That's beautiful.
yeah, that was fun. I had fun with that.
So where excuse me, sorry.
So
where are we going to?
Well, I'm going to leave the plates on the side. There's a couple of things I really want to show, if that's okay. One is embossing on the wings. It's a bit different to what we did this morning. On the wings. Yeah. The poor angel. I'm sorry, angel. Sorry. So we're going to emboss on those wings. And for this one, what I'm using is I'm using the Pergamano Excellent Matte. You can use the black matte as well. Turn it round to the soft side and have a play. If you think it's too soft and this is all you have at home, put a poly bag underneath to give it some bounce.
It creates like a barrier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's sort of a bit of resistance. So it's not as soft and squidgy.
Yeah. But for this, I'm going to use the Excellent Matte, and I'm going to put that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use shader tools.
Right.
So I know I was watching on when you said on Groovi Tuesday that they were back in stock. So I was like, oh, I can use shader tools because I love this. These are my go-to for embossing. Well, they were my go-to for embossing.
And we reintroduced the 0.8 because it had been discontinued when we bought Pergamano.
Right.
So Pergamano had discontinued the 0.8. And now that the manufacturer is, because we own Pergamano, the manufacturer is now actually done within the UK. And there was a lot of people said, oh, but there was a smaller one. So we looked into it because obviously we own all the copyright and all the products, so to speak. So we looked into it and found, right, okay, this is the information we need. So we gave it to the manufacturers, and this is where we brought back the 0.8 shader tool.
I just love the shader tool. So basically what we're doing is we're putting the foot on the outline and just pulling towards us. So I'm using the largest one at the moment. I would do this. These are quite large areas compared to what we did this morning. I wouldn't have let the parchment rest as much. They were really tiny. This is slightly bigger. So, you know, I would personally emboss the wings, do all the other embossing around, give it a couple of hours, 3, 4. The longer you let it rest, the better. Depends whether your patience runs out first or not. But 3-4 hours, come back and then put another layer. And at the moment, I don't know if
You
you
can
get a
definitely see
very
that. See, I
softness.
love that softness, which I always struggle to get with the ball tools.
Yeah,
I suppose maybe I was
me too.
heavy-handed and stuff like that. So for me, when the shader tools came back in stock, because I'd used them in the past.
Me too. So I would probably, do a couple of layers with the shader tools, the largest one, then drop down to the medium size one. And yes, I should let it rest. I'm going to probably make it collapse in a minute. But I just
for
want to
demonstration
show,
purposes.
yeah, at home I would definitely let it rest. So if
the
I turn
Christmas, we
that,
just
look
had
at that, how
couple of
much whiter
questions.
that's got.
That's lovely. Just had a couple of
Yeah.
questions from, so who was it? It was Susan Moon. She wanted to know what size the Christmas plate mate was that Tina's using. So the plate is an A4 square, and then the aperture on the inside is an A6 plate. So that's why we've given you, the saving you're making of £3.50, we're giving you that little spacer so that any of Tina's parchlets will work perfectly within that Christmas plate mate. And I think Jim will probably bring that up onto the screen for you. Let's have a look. And it is item number, I've got my list here, item number 6. There we go. Jim's going to bring that up, and no doubt Gracie will pop a link in to that as well. So the item code is 42392. There we go.
So you can see that I did with the smallest, but at home I wouldn't work this fast. It is beginning to collapse there. But you can see the smoothness you get with the shader tools as well. And I just love that. So I'm going to put that aside and I will show you the card itself. So there we go. So there you go. There's the angel wings.
See, that's what I always struggle to get with the ball tools, because the ball for me would hide where the grey area was.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't know where to stop and I'd get carried away. But with the shader tools, because I can see through the loop or the paperclip effect, then that made it so much easier. And I'm so much happier now that I can do this type of, it's like shadow embossing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Linda often does that, like with the flowers that I've always loved. But on the wings of those angels, it really makes a difference.
I just love the shader tools, and like you, I struggle with the ball tools to emboss. So this was so nice to do. So just talking through the embossing. So everywhere that we did with the number 2 tool, you're just going to go ahead and emboss with the ball tools. So start with maybe the 4, and what the smaller ones, you can use number 3, number 2, and you do the white work. After that, coloring. We did a bit of coloring this morning. It's exactly the same. So the darker colors I have done with the felt pens, because I've kept to the sepia sort of tones. I've used the 2 browns of the felt pens, the Perga Colors exclusives, and for the rest, so the little bit in there is the Perga liners. You can use both of them. One is water soluble, one is oil-based. So
I'm going to ask you a question then. So when you're creating your lovely pieces of artwork, do you decide on your backing paper first, or do you go for the color on your artwork and then try and find a backing paper?
No, I choose the backing paper first.
Backing paper first.
Yes, because it takes otherwise hours and hours and hours trying to find a backing paper that will match the colors I may have used. So this way, at least if I've got the backing paper, I know that's the color I need to use.
I mean, our lovely companion papers now, because we've had them sort of reprinted now, so they're single-sided, they're loosely. But what it means now is that, because often I'd be the same, I'd colour it in first and then think, oh, I haven't got the right shade of paper. And it doesn't matter, I think, whatever you use when it comes down to colouring in your artwork, whether you're doing stamping artwork or your parchment artwork, then you will definitely find paper in the companion papers that will mix.
Yeah, absolutely.
Suit it beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, for this one, I think I used Rainbow River. Yeah, I used Rainbow River. But they were, a few other couple of pads that had browns in
Browns
it.
in them, yeah.
So that was very not. I could have picked 2 different pads for 2 different browns, but this one had 2 browns.
2 different shades that you wanted.
So I just went with that, and so there we go. So we did coloring this morning. You can watch on rewind because it's exactly the same as what we did this. How about some perforating? If I can quickly just go through.
One of our friends earlier was asking about the perforating.
Yeah. So I've started a little bit on this one here.
Okay.
So let me show you on this corner here. So I'm using a bold 2 needle tool.
Yeah.
So when we oopsie daisy.
I'm going to come in on the other camera and see if we can get it at a better angle. There we go.
Okay. Am I allowed to turn it?
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Let's use this one here. So at home, I would have not cut those.
No.
But I just wanted to show you what the finished one looks like. So I've cut it. I would do all the perforating first.
Yeah.
And then start cut it. So I'm going to be super careful. I
suppose because you've weakened it, haven't you?
I've weakened it. Yeah. So that's why I'm going to go quite close to there. So that will protect it.
Yeah.
Holding the tool upright over the perforating pad. Don't do it on your black embossing mat. I'm going to hold the tool upright and I'm going to make the first 2 holes. Yes?
Yeah.
After that, I'm going to hook into the previous hole, bring the tool upright and perforate. Previous hole, perforate. What this does is it's going to give us the even spacing as we go along.
And you're just increasing 1 perforation at a time. I'm just going to swap to the overhead just so we can see. There we go. You can see that progress coming through. I'll go back to that camera there. Even that little sound of the perforating. So Tina hasn't got her tongue sticking out. Like
am I supposed to? I can do that one.
When you concentrate on it, often at home, if you're doing something, you don't realise that your tongue's sticking out. Because Tina went very quiet all of a sudden.
I'm so focused at this point.
In other words, shut up, Paul.
No. You can keep talking. I'm very good at switching off. Ask my kids. So there's a bit more space there, but by the time I cut it, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
So that's our perforation. So what I did is I perforated all the way around too. As you can see, I've left some that I haven't cut just there.
Yeah.
So all the way around as well.
Okay.
Scissors, we have options. We have exclusives.
Yeah.
We have something.
Ring locks.
Thank you. Ring locks. And we have perker cutters.
Yes.
So these 2 work in exactly the same way.
Right.
Yes. The difference being this has slightly bigger
apertures.
Yeah. And this one's slightly smaller. And there's a price difference.
And there's a saving on all of them.
Oh, nice.
Yes, we've got a lovely saving on all of those. So the ring lock, if you're interested, if you just put scissors in the website, and then it'll bring up the 3 different types and you'll see the savings on them.
Okay. And the perker cutters are like tweezers. You just pinch and cut. Squizzers. Actually, that sounds cute. I like that. So the squizzers, you need to rename them. You just pinch like tweezers to cut. So I'm going to start with showing you with these, just to show you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to come back in on the other camera and see if we can pick that up.
So I'm going to hold them quite low against the paper, just the tips between the 2 holes, into the 2 holes. And as I'm closing them, I'm just giving my wrist a teeny tiny twist towards my left.
Right.
I prefer going towards the left. I think if you're left-handed, you would probably I'm working from left to right. You would work right to left and twist the other way. I don't know.
I go both ways. Sometimes I'll go from top to bottom, and then sometimes I'll go from the bottom to top.
Okay.
I don't know whether it makes a difference. I'm sure it does if you put it under a magnifying glass, but.
So I'm just putting the tips in and I'm twisting ever so slightly towards my left. I'm twisting towards the previous cut. If I twist this way, I risk breaking those holes.
Ah, of course, yes.
So by twisting this way, I am already going into the
I thought there'd be some reason for why there was a particular way of doing it.
So just the tips, and that's all I'm doing. It's just a teeny tiny twist. Now you will find that if you haven't done it, have a little play. It does come with practice sometimes, and you may not need to twist. You may be able to cut without.
Yeah.
With the scissors now, when we were first traditionally taught, this is how we were taught to hold the scissors. This finger and the second finger, and to hold the, I find this very awkward, to hold them like this, put it into the 2 holes.
Yeah.
And cut. I forgot to mention the scissors should be over the waist. So this is the waist. That's the bit that's going to fall over. So the scissors need to be over that.
Yeah.
I find this a very awkward position. I cannot, I just cannot do it. So I hold curve upside down, thumb, first finger, and this supports how much I open and close.
Right. So when you're using the perga cutters, you're using them in what we call the fork position with the tips going downwards.
I do, but there's a few ladies I know who hold them this way.
It's
so it is again, you might want to see how you prefer.
Yeah, no, lovely Pat Coombs said, are you using the points up or down? So that was quite a good sort of...
I was using them down.
But you can use them up.
But you can use them up. I know a couple of ladies who do use them up, because they prefer that position. So, again, have a play and see what works best for you. But for the scissors, for me personally, I prefer them with
the curve up in the spoon position. Yeah.
And again, just the tips into the holes.
I don't know which way we need to go. Hang on. I reckon about that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, just the tips into the holes and you cut.
Yeah.
And the ring locks are exactly the same. So oopsie daisy, come back.
I mean, if I'm going to do a lot of picot cutting, I would use the perga cutters because it's easier on my hand. If I'm just doing it a little bit like this, then I would tend to use the ring lock, and I prefer to do it in the flat position on the picot foam or super foam.
Yeah.
Barb uses the exclusive scissors, so she still uses them in her hand the way that I say the way that she was shown. We learned by watching YouTube on, because back in the day we didn't really know how they worked. So Barb still does it that way, and as you said, you find what works for you.
Absolutely. For me, definitely, I can't hold it up anyway and cut. So I use them flat. So for me, when you're working flat, to hold them like this, you can't keep your scissors low enough against the paper. Whereas if it's in this position, if you're working flat, then at least the bottom of that is quite low against the paper itself.
Okay, so then that's a really good point to mention, because lovely Bernie Hayes has just asked, why are the scissors up and the squizzers down? And I think you've just answered that, because when you're working with the scissors, because you want to get it as flat to the parchment as possible, and your hand is underneath, by having the curve up, it's automatically closer to the parchment, as you just said. Whereas with the perga cutters or squizzers, your hand is on the side of them, so therefore you can go into the fork position, because that you can bring it down because the scissors are there rather than under to the side of your hand rather than on top of your hand. Does that
I think when you're working flat, it's a bit harder to get them as low down. I know that there's some people who put them in and just the tips and then drop the scissors and then
But I can see
cut
how
and twist.
comfortable that is.
I can't drop them. For me, it doesn't work. So I don't drop the curve down.
Yeah.
I keep it at that angle and keep going. The other thing as well is, you know, as you're cutting, so for this outside, this is my waist. So my scissors are over the waist. But as I'm turning around, I keep turning the paper as well. So just because I'm working this angle doesn't mean then I start cutting here.
Because your hand is in a
turning,
comfortable
keep
position.
turning the parchment. So you're just working on directly opposite holes.
Yeah.
Directly opposite holes.
And because your hand's in that comfortable position where they are, then it is easier to keep your hand in that position and move your work, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think, have I done it all? No.
There's always one little snip that gets
somewhere.
away, isn't there?
I'm not sure where. No, it's not that one. Is it this one? Don't do what I'm doing. Oh, I'm glad they couldn't see what I was doing.
No. There's nobody watching. The 169 people, they're watching without pictures.
No, you know, after saying,
listening.
Keep turning your paper around. Don't do the ones opposite. And there I am. There's one left. Oh, yeah, I see it. And I'm doing what I wasn't supposed to do. So there we go. So that's all perforated and cut. And yeah, the only thing left would be your glitter, your mounting.
And
we did that earlier. And, you know, to make it smaller, for example, use a smaller card, just one layer. And that's what it would be like.
Beautiful, absolutely.
And then if you wanted it slightly bigger, yeah, there you go. Wow. So on this one, I used a lighter brown for my base, but the darker brown looks quite nice well for your base.
Beautiful.
So you've got options there.
Wow.
You've got options there.
It's been such a pleasure, and
it's been very
so
nice.
Grateful for you to come in and share, especially with our lovely parchlets.
Oh, it's been great.
Well,
thank you.
Because I think they are some that you can go back to again and again. If you've got them in the past, or maybe you've forgotten that you've got them, get them out, revisit them. And especially, I mean, those plates that I'm going to launch next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Those lovely gift bags. You can take elements.
You could take, I know, you could just, oh my gosh,
yeah. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you, everyone.
It's melted. It's so warm in here. It's nearly melted. So don't forget, this evening, 7 o'clock on the same place that you're viewing now, Barbara has a fantastic craft along. And that is using the abstract layout dies and those lovely woodland and bird stamp sets with the infusion papers. I think there's some talk of some bow wob papers and the gel press coming out. So that's with you at 7 o'clock this evening, because we're here to keep you entertained.
I think I'll be home by now. Fingers crossed I'll be home by then.
M25.
M25, exactly.
Yeah. And Gracie will be in the room with you as well, if you've got any questions at 7 o'clock. And then tomorrow I'll be back at midday for some midday madness. I keep saying midnight. It would midday madness. So tune in if you can tomorrow at midday. Got some fantastic prices: Christmas crackers, cube boxes, and Christmas trees from Josie Davison. Those are absolutely gorgeous.
They're all so nice.
They are. And Tina has promised to come back. We need to sort some dates out, and she's going to be sharing her embroidery parchlets with us and show. I
can't wait.
I never thought I'd be doing parchment. 2, I never thought I'd be doing embroidery. But when you combine both together, it really, really is magic.
I know, it's very pretty.
So thank you for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, you can go back and watch anytime you want to. And we're going to help Tina pack up so that she can get on the road and before the traffic kicks in.
Yes.
So thank you for Gracie in the room, and also for Jim behind the scenes, and the lovely team downstairs answering the phones.
Thank you.
So we will see you again. I'll see you, Barbara, at 7 tonight.